All right. Hello, everybody. Brie Sodano here, coming to you live on all of the social platforms. Today, we're going to be talking about decluttering as a step towards wealth building. Even though getting a dumpster doesn't really sound like sound financial advice, you'd be amazed how effective it is. And I will momentarily confess one of my decluttering stories and the reason why we have a decluttering expert. So, for those of you who are new and just meeting me, my name is Brie Sodano. I'm a personal finance expert and the founder from Sheep to Shark. And today I'm here with a very amazing special guest, Katy Joy Wells of the Maximized Minimalist podcast, who is a decluttering expert. And if you're a little voyeuristic, you could follow her on the Instagrams because she makes little videos on her stories of her cleaning her living room, which is honestly is like remarkably satisfying.
They are, aren't they?
They really are. I really like them. So I will. Oh, hello. So I will just say I'm going to just start with a story of there was this one day, and I decided my house was too full of stuff, and I ordered a dumpster. And in like the span of 48 hours, we got rid of 15 cubic yards of stuff and like I don't know, maybe like 30 trash bags. Um, And my children are like a tiny bit, I feel like traumatized is really like an extreme word, but they're like a little bit like, did this go missing in the purge? Like they have started to refer to the incident as the purge.
Yes, the
And
the great purge of what year?
I think it was a 2018 purge,
Yes,
right? It was like
yes.
the year before COVID started.
Yeah.
And um, as a mom and like you know the one of the main responsible parties in the household, I will tell you I have no regrets, none. I'm
I
happy.
love it.
We got rid of so much stuff, and I feel like that liberated so much time and energy and attention. And also we're bringing in Katy Joy Wells because maybe my approach maybe my approach wasn't gentle enough, and there are better and more gentle ways to do some decluttering. So Katy is here. uh, yeah, so I don't know, Katy, tell me the reasons why decluttering is like a thing. Like, why are people like
Oh,
spending money to hire you to help them throw stuff out? Like, where like how does it help? Where are the gem ups?
I think, as far as like the root of clutter and why so many people struggle with it, I mean, there are so many. Let me just rattle off a few and see if any of these resonate with the watchers and or listeners. Number one, we are so many of us, especially if you're watching here in the US, but this is a world like clutter is almost a worldwide, near universal issue for so many people. And I think one of the big reasons why is we are just stuck in this hyper consumerism state. And from the moment we were watching our first cartoons on Saturday mornings to think about how our kids are living these days, more screen time, more advertisements, really being sold that stuff makes us happy. And for me, on a personal level, I used to think I could buy my way into happiness and buy my way out of stress and depression and chronic anxiety and this identity loss I had when I became a new mom and all these things. Any type of emotional discomfort for me led me to pick up my phone, right? That was the trigger, and hit I need to buy something. I need a dopamine hit, anything to get me away from this uncomfortable feeling right now. And I think that coupled with just this subconscious belief that, oh, that made me feel really good when I bought that new top, even though I don't need it, even though I don't have the money for it, even though I know I shouldn't be spending money right now, whatever that is. It felt so good to me. And it was a temporary 30-second relief. And then I just kept doing that over and over and over and over. And then I think so many of us, especially if you've got kids that come into the picture, or maybe even a partner, then we have our stuff and their stuff. And it just becomes so triggering and overwhelming and frustrating. And, it gets really difficult to get started when it's like, where do I even begin? There's stuff everywhere. Some of it's not mine. How do I get my kids on board? Right. What you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah.
I'm sure they're going to bring this. I'm sure that the purge will surface and they're like,
There's trauma. Yes, there's trauma with a capital
midlife.
T and a small t. Maybe it was a small t trauma, but trauma nonetheless.
Yeah, I don't think they're like going to be like permanently damaged by it, but I mean, it was
Hey,
definitely it was like a point of reference in our household. It was like
yes.
before the purge and after the purge.
It's interestingly enough, my sister-in-law Megan, who you know, she turned on Hoarders a few months ago. We were hanging out and had a moment. We turned on the TV, and she's like, "Have you ever seen Hoarders, the show on I think Netflix?" I said, "No, I have not." And so she turns on an episode, and generally it's older people in their 60s, 70s, 80s who've been hoarding things for years. It's like really impacting their life, their health, their relationship with their partner. This man had so much stuff in his bed, his wife couldn't even sleep in the same bed. It was just only he fit in the bed. There was stuff everywhere, right? It's a big issue. And the psychologist that came in to help this gentleman said, why do you think his thing was old toys. He would go to Goodwill and get any old toys he could find constantly. He drained all the money. The wife still had to work. She couldn't retire because he was constantly spending money. And he goes, my mom always threw my toys out without asking me when I was a kid. And that's why I think it's in my control now. And I was like, oh no.
Oh boy. Oh man.
Parents everywhere need to listen in. And so, it's really, but in the same breath, it is very difficult, I think, to find that, there's a fine line between like respecting their stuff and their hobbies and their interests, yet trying to keep a manageable, tidy home. And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. Every child's going to respond differently, right, to the dumpster coming, and remember differently. Some will care, some will not. But, I think there are multiple ways to do it, like you said.
It's funny. So when we did the purge, my son participated willingly, and I think he was actually pretty happy to do it. Like I just gave him the opportunity. I was like, we could get rid of like all of the clothes that don't fit, you don't like, and a lot of that
Yes.
stuff got donated. It didn't all go in the dumpster. But he was like, wait, like you're not going to ask me to wear this again? Deal. And my daughter, I think, was like maybe 14 or 15. I think she was like 14 at the time, and she wanted to have nothing to do with it. And we left her room alone. She didn't do it. And what was funny is once the rest of the house got cleared, she ended up like taking out her, just decluttering her own space, but like on her own time. Like she wasn't really interested in it.
Until she felt the after effects, right? She probably noticed a change within the energy of the household, within you, her brother, and she goes, "Oh, you know what? Maybe I should try to do this." And that sounds like it just kind of happened naturally for her.
Yeah, and I just want to tie something together for the viewers. So when we talk about money, I talk about time, energy, and money as like a trifecta of resources. And what I find with clients is that clutter takes up a lot of time and it takes up a lot of mental energy resources. And when our house is very cluttered, there's like it obviously isn't literally noisy, but it's noisy. It's like the Legos are asking to be picked up, and the throw pillows are like, listen, lady, get your life together. And the dishes in the sink are like, where's my lid? Where's my lid? And you're like, I don't know where your lid is. Nobody knows where your lid is. You're gonna, and it's what I find is when our houses are not a place of rejuvenation, like when we don't feel rejuvenated in our own house, when house also calls our energy out of us to like pick up and clean up.
Yes.
Being exhausted is incredibly expensive. And that time of like tidying. And then I feel like there's also like some resentment when we're tidying constantly and we never feel like we get a break.
Yes.
Like resentment is a tremendous abundance block on an energetic level. And so like when I talk about decluttering is really a step in the direction of wealth building, what it does is it helps to liberate that time. It helps to liberate that mental energy, and also it will change what you want. It will change what you will go shopping for. It will change what you buy. Like it really changes desire. Like where one of my clients said it really, really good after she like did a good purge. She was like, I used to go to Target and be like, I want this, and I would be like, but I don't need it, and I would put it down. And she's like, and I would feel a little deprived in that. And there's only
Mm-hmm.
so much of that you can really take. She's like, but after
Yeah.
I got my house all nice and clean, I'd be like, this is cute and I don't want it. And
Yeah.
not wanting something is so different than like using self-control to not
Right.
buy something.
Because that only gets you so far.
Yeah. And so decluttering is one of those things where when you're already feeling stretched, like when your time is stretched, when your energy is stretched, I feel like it's one of those things that you can do to really, it has a very high impact um on your life. And the way that I see that showing up in money is people stop buying stuff. Like, but it's not like a depriving. It's not like, oh, I want this but I can't. It's like,
Right.
no, I don't want that. I have enough. I just have all of my spaces nice and tidy. Like I literally like, no, thank you. Don't want that. Like, no, I don't want you a free tote bag.
Yeah, I decline stuff like that all the time now. I don't want your free samples because I know they're going to sit in my makeup vanity and I'm never going to use them.
Yeah, yes.
Pass the free stuff up most of the time. Yeah.
Except for pens. Dude, I really like free pens. I'm not gonna lie. Not all the free pens. I like the free pens that like have the
The
gel.
nice ones. Oh, yeah, you're a
Yeah.
gel pen user. That's a
Yeah.
certain
All
kind
right.
of
So
person. I get you.
yeah. So if you're offering free gel pens, I will take those. Um, if they're free ballpoints, I mean,
You,
maybe.
you
I
pass
do
those
like,
to me, I'll pass you the gel pens. We'll call it even.
I do like free pens, but like T-shirts and things like that, I'm like, oh no, I'm not taking that into my house where I'm gonna have to purge it later.
It's so
Um,
true. And
so
you brought up a really good point, sorry to interrupt, is that one thing for the watchers is stuff is not passive. This is a big subconscious or conscious belief so many people have is like, what's the harm? It's just one more thing. And once it comes into my home and it doesn't, unless it's clutter, it doesn't bother me. I know I hear from people all the time. But stuff is not passive. Just like you said, it takes up our mental resources. It impacts us emotionally. It impacts our finances. Even to store something in your home costs an average of $10 a square foot. So whether you use it like it's a toaster you use every day, or it's an entire corner or your entire closet of your wardrobe that is just too much stuff, it's costing you money to hang on to this stuff that's not even serving you. And I tell people all the time, again, stuff is not passive. There's no neutrality. And so when you look at it like that, like your client did, and she's like, oh, not only do I not want that, really don't want that, because I know the impact that will have on me when I bring that into my home. Only now that I can see clearly how stuff and how clutter was impacting me since she's done her big purges.
yeah, yes. Stuff is not neutral. What a little nugget of like juicy gold that is. Yeah, stuff is not neutral.
And
Yeah,
that's really where the lifestyle component, like there's so many parallels to what you teach, right, with wealth and what I teach with decluttering. um, same with budget and all that stuff. There are so many different parallels you can apply, and decluttering is truly has become a lifestyle for me. I call it simplifying. Some people call it minimalism. You can take what you want or use whatever term you want. It all really means the same to me. And that's just really being able to live with a lot more intention and create a home that's a refuge, like you said earlier. Like, to imagine walking through your front door after a long day and just being able to, sure, there's some tidying up to do because nothing's perfect. Your home will never be perfect, and that's okay. But not battling clutter when you walk through your front door is the biggest blessing I've ever given myself, and probably my family too, because I'm a better mother for it. I'm a better business owner for it. It's literally impacted every single part of my life in the most positive ways. And that resentment you mentioned earlier, right? All these shame, blame, judgment, resentment, all these little things that, oh, if only
like
my kids would pick up their Legos. If only my husband weren't such a slob. If only I weren't other people would care what happened with their stuff. And why am I the only one responsible for this? And this is right. All these different thoughts so many of us have, whether you're a parent or you're even dads have these thoughts, but it's just a lot of those things really, really just wear you out emotionally. And at some point they come to the surface, right?
oh yeah, I've totally like, has anybody ever angry cleaned?
Oh yeah,
Like the
rage
kind
cleaning
of
is a thing. And I
the
used to rage declutter. Like everything's going, right? You step on a Lego, you hurt your foot, you trip over a toy in the kitchen when you're cooking dinner. I just like everything's gotta go.
And then fast forward 50 years and now your kids are on an episode of Hoarders.
Exactly.
Oh, yes. All right. No, I've totally rage cleaned. Yes. Is that where you're like banging your pots and pans?
Oh yeah. Like, can anyone hear me? Am I the only one that cares? Why am I doing this? And that's really where conversations come into play. Like I tell my students all the time, it's never too late or too early to start teaching your kids to learn about the relationship with stuff, because just like we have a relationship with money and how we spend it and how we see it, base a lot of it, I'm sure, just like you teach your clients, like, how were you raised? How do your parents talk about money? Was it more negative? Was it more scarcity mindset? Was it more positive, like, hey, this is a great tool that can give you different opportunities in life? Or did they not talk about it at all? Was it shunned? Was it like shameful to talk about money? Well, same thing goes with stuff, right? If you saw your mom have a really difficult time declutter, which was my mom, I will never forget. I was about 10 years old. My mom had, I don't know, 500 home and garden magazines in the living room. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. She's never touched these. She's always like, oh, I'll read those one day, right? We've all said this about books, magazines, whatever it is. And so I took it upon myself unknowingly to just declutter some. And I don't even know if I got him out of the house, but boy, she was livid with me. And I thought, what an interesting response to something she never touches, she doesn't use, right? It was so emotional for her. And that's the thing about clutter is, like, on the surface level, so many of us are like, if I just had a strategy, if I just had a checklist, then that could solve my problem. I'll tell you, most people, including my mom, it's not a strategy. It's not a checklist. It's constant reevaluating. Why am I, why is this so difficult for me from a non-judgmental, objective standpoint, right? Because shame just keeps us stuck in that cycle. And I was like, wow, that's so my mom kind of credits herself for my profession now. And I will tell you, she's I quit talking to her about decluttering years ago because it was a very touchy subject. And she was raised by people who grew up through the Great Depression. You had to keep every single resource for obvious reason. You didn't know when your next meal would be coming sometimes, and if that needle and thread could come in handy to fix a pair of pants, right? And so there's definitely a generational aspect, I think, to it in a lot of cases that our generation is facing when it comes to, wow, did I pick up a lot of those traits from, my parents, or those values from my family, right?
Oh, it's a thing that happens in money too. Like a lot of times
absolutely.
people raised by people who formative years lived through the Great Depression. So I'm 37. So that my mom's in her 60s, and like her mom is dead now, but I don't know, would probably be in her 90s. I really don't know, but I'm probably right. Maybe late 90s. Yeah, so it's a thing. It is a real thing of that like those scars of that deep scarcity.
Yes, absolutely.
So tell us a little bit about your challenge. So yeah, I'm having Katy on. She's doing a challenge, and I think anybody who's not like building wealth, or anybody who really is like in a spot of feeling like not replenished in their home should really consider a declutter. And Katy's really wonderful, and her methods are more gentle than the Brie Sodano method of get a dumpster and get everything out of your house as fast as you can.
You know what? Everyone needs a little Brie Sodano approach to decluttering once in a while, I will say. And it's spring, so there's something so innate, I think, in so many people. Well, spring here in the US, when the weather starts to shift, it's like, I don't know. I don't like cleaning. I'm great at decluttering. I don't like cleaning. But something about when it starts hitting like the 60s and 70s and the sun's out, I'm like, I'm ready to spring clean. And so at least, hopefully, if your watchers are also like that, like, yes, lean into that, but just turn the knob a little bit to decluttering and letting go. And also it'll make spring cleaning a lot easy. But yeah, I created my 14-day challenge a few years ago. I do those usually every few months. They are wildly impactful for now thousands of students. And what people often say they love about the challenge is, first of all, it's community based, and there are live trainings. So there are 10 live trainings throughout the 14 days. I keep them short, like 20 to 30 minutes. And a lot of people declutter while they listen to the trainings, which is right. Multitasking is awesome there. But the community aspect where people show their before and afters, and I tell you what to focus on every single day. So there's no guesswork. And it really just pushes you and forces you to take action. Whereas before, if you were doing it by yourself, or if you bought a course on decluttering that's collecting virtual dust, it's like, oh, well, I'll do that one day, right? It pushes you into action. And my students, I hear this all the time. Every single challenge I do, someone tells me I've gotten more done in the first 3 days of this challenge than I have in the last 3 years on my own. It is incredible. And one thing that also separates me from a lot of other declutter experts out there is not only am I a little more gentle, but sustainable too. And I really think it takes a different methods and trainings to help coach you through that emotional aspect, right? So there's mindset shifts, there's overarching strategies, and then of course there's like the practical, tactical, on the battlefield strategies that, what do I do with the stuff in my bathroom? What do I do with the toys or wherever space you're working on? That's just really, really helpful to just get you huge momentum. And so my next one actually starts this coming Monday, March 14th. And I tell you what, this is like these 14 days are my favorite 14 days of the year. It's just so fun to witness the transformation, not only in people's homes, which is important, but right, those other transformations that so many people don't expect, like their kids are, oh, mommy, I love how the house feels, or mommy has more time to play with the kids, right? All these different things that so many of us think, oh, that's a pipe dream, or oh, that could never happen for me, or this is just the way my life is. I'll always have clutter. It's just so many emotional transformations, and it's just a beautiful thing. And while I do care, like, it's great if your home looks pretty or whatever, but that's not why I do this. I do this to help people have these other wildly amazing transformations in their motherhood, their parenting, their relationship with themselves, all that stuff. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So when we decluttered, I found that there was a lot of laundry that was too small or no. Honestly, a lot of it was stuff that like my kids just didn't really like,
Yeah.
and that lived in the laundry that like never would get put away. So they would just like live in the laundry, and they would never get put away, get on the floor, get dirty, back in the laundry, run through. And since decluttering, like my laundry gets finished. Like like it is capable of being finished.
Instead of this never ending
Ending,
project that causes resentment and overwhelm
yes.
and frustration. We've all been there. I think a lot of us can relate to that. Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely can simplify. If your laundry is your dumping grounds, that 100% will you'll feel that impact.
I feel like too, like the amount of time that it takes, like if I want to have a friend over, like I feel like the ability to very quickly and easily have somebody over instead of going out is like another thing where it's like, yeah, of course you could come to my house. Like my house is very rarely so dirty or like so stuff everywhere that like I couldn't just have somebody over. Like it's not perfect, and my friends actually don't have super high expectations of my tidiness levels, but it's like the sort of thing where like before we did this, I would definitely be like, not my
Let's
house.
meet
Like,
out, or not
yeah,
today, or I'm sick, I have the sniffles, when really it's just I don't want to
I don't want to have to
I don't want to deal
clean.
with it.
I don't want to have to clean
Yeah.
this up for you to come over.
And that's such a relief. That's such a positive relief. I hear from students all the time, like their in-laws come over after they go through my challenge, and they're like, "Wow, your house is so clean," or "Your house is so spacious." And they're like, "Katy, I didn't clean a thing. All I did was let stuff go like you told me to." And it's like, oh, it's such a nice compliment for other people to notice your efforts, right? Because it does take effort to declutter. But yeah, that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, and then, that's honestly, it saves like a lot of money and the experience. So like a lot of times if I'm going out for a girlfriend, like going out with a friend, we're going to go sit somewhere, we're going to have a glass of wine, we're going to talk for a long time. Like we're not like we're not spring chickens anymore. We're not like going out to like to the club. We're not going dancing necessarily. We're like literally going to have a glass of wine and we're going to gab. And it's just kind of nicer to be able to do that at your house. And then like you don't end up with like, a $50 or $60 tab at the end of the night. You could like,
That's right. Just have your friends over. And another thing is normalize having a messy house. Can I just say that? a lot of declutter experts, people have this idea with minimalism or simplifying, or, oh, my goal is to have an uncluttered home. Then they sometimes envision this perfect home. And that feels so unattainable, especially if you have young kids or a messy spouse. And you're like, well, forget that. That'll never happen. So why even bother trying? And my thing is strive for a home that's easy to tidy, not always tidy, because that perfection, again, it's another thing that keeps us stuck, right? Oh, if I can't do it perfectly, what's the point? I'm not going to do it at all. And,
Yes.
that's the thing. Like, even if your girlfriends do come over and there's a few things on the ground, or your countertops have dishes on them, it's like, gosh forbid, it looks like someone lives here, or it looks like kids live here. I am so like, just make it about you and create a home that feels supportive to you and your family. And if other people, like your in-laws, also like it, great. If not, it's not their home. They don't have to live there. That's my 2 cents on that topic.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I'll tell you the other thing is I just feel like there was like a lot of mental noise that was happening before I decluttered, and then that level of mental noise um really went down. And I feel like that created space for me to kind of systemize some of the it was like, so then like now I do a lot of subscribe and save. But what's interesting is like when I buy, like I actually just had to buy shaving cream. And so like I bought like the 6-pack, which is cheaper, and I have like a rotation, but the cabinet that I keep everything in is easy to, like, there's nothing extra in it. So like
Yes.
inventory management is like possible,
I love
where
it.
it's like it wasn't possible before.
Yeah.
So it's like the cost savings on the shaving cream, for example, is one thing, but it's like I have to think about shaving cream probably like one minute a year, and that used to be something that, like, when you don't have good inventory management, when you can't see what you
Yes.
have or you can't see what you don't have, it ends up costing a lot of like time to go to Target, or just mental resources. Like if you ever get home at the end of the day and you're like, I'm literally out of toilet paper.
Yeah.
I have to go back out into the world now, because otherwise something bad is going to happen. Like, so I found there were so many, it was a big catalyst, and honestly, it was a big catalyst in like the level of happiness in my marriage too, I think, because I'm
Yes.
actually not the tidy one, and I'm generally not the one doing the tidying. It's more Mike Sodano, who
Go
has
Mike. I love it.
secretly seethed, not so secretly, or he's done some rage cleaning himself.
Yeah. Hey, it's all good.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. But I feel like if I keep this stuff to the minimum, it does better for teamwork. Because like I'm okay for like a
Mhm.
little mess, but when there's a big mess, I'm like, I can't. I'm not.
You just like to put on your blinders and keep walking past that room,
Yeah, he actually
waiting
gets
for Mike to tackle it.
real mad about that. He doesn't like that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, because I'm just like I like legit get overwhelmed. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't. I'm not sure what. I don't think I can make it better. I have to go. I have work to do. I have important cheap to start business to attend to on my computer. So the decluttering, I think it's one of the things that I really, really recommend to clients. Like, um, I talk about getting a dumpster. I get a dumpster financial advice to lots of my clients, especially if
Yeah.
they're like, when there's like a cycle of busy, broken, exhausted. And I
Yes.
think that decluttering is one of the things that really is, it's almost like the step that you even want to take before or as you're doing like find your
Yes. Yeah.
bleed, or like as you're getting your stuff together, because it takes time and it takes mental energy to get your money in order.
That's
And
right.
when you're like expending, when you're spending your mental energy and your time in your house, and you're not, and it's just, reorganizing and tidying up, um that energy can then go into your money management, and we see like a lot of just a ton of benefits from it.
Yeah. And
All
being
right.
able to declutter and then organize, systemize. Okay, how can I, now that I've decluttered my laundry, how can I do laundry? How can I systemize that? Or budgeting with it, money. And so I've
Yeah.
had tons of clients go through your program, Find Your Bleed, which, first of all, if I've also taken that, game changer. If you have not taken Bree's Find Your Bleed, go do that now. And do my 14-day challenge at the same time, or around the same
Yeah.
time. But
Together.
they
Same time.
go so well hand in hand. And major aha moments from, a previous chronic spender for sure.
Yeah. And I feel like clutter in your physical life generally is going to look like credit card debt in your financial life.
Yep.
Like clutter and credit card debt. Uh, it's, they don't always go together, but a lot of times they
Mm-hmm.
do. And so looking at like those, just, I don't know. I'm telling you, once you clear out your space, it changes what you even will accept back into it. It's really
So
like,
true.
if it's really a shift of desire of being like, no, I literally, that is cute. That is a beautiful throw pillow. And I literally do not want it. Like, do not want to touch it. I really don't want to possess it.
Um,
Like sometimes I love stuff and I'm like, but I really don't want to possess it. I
and
don't,
and and
I
and
don't
to
want it.
learn to appreciate things that other people have without having to have it, right, is part of that kind of change that happens over time. And it makes a
Yeah.
big difference, but it's not, like I said, it's not a strategy, it's not a checklist, right? That's just part of that evolution of your relationship with stuff.
Yeah. And like I, we're on StreamYard, so I cannot see your face. But it says somebody says I've told clients to get a dumpster before. It's wonderful when they realize that they don't need all that stuff.
So
Yeah,
true.
like yeah. So all right. Is there anything more about the 14-day challenge people should know? The link is in the description, and
Perfect.
let me see. Maybe I could copy and paste it and
I
put it
would
on
say
your site now
maybe
too.
I would say no matter where you are on your declutter journey, whether you've decluttered some, I've had people join my challenge thinking, I don't even think I have much to get rid of. And then they message me and they're like, I got rid of 15 bags. I didn't even know I had that much to get rid of. So whether you're overwhelmed and tired of moving stuff from pile to pile to pile, if you've organized and the clutter comes back, or you feel like pretty good with your house or anywhere in between, like you will have some takeaways from the 14-day challenge, which is why it's beautiful. Whether you've got young kids or kids, if you're an empty nester, nothing is super kid centric. You can apply everything I teach toward any space in your home. And it's a beautiful thing.
All right.
And I may tell some of you to get a dumpster. And I don't think that's a non gentle approach, because if you have a lot of volume of things, a dumpster is just helpful.
And I
I've had
feel
people
like
get dumpsters too. It can feel
it
intimidating
puts a
to
little
people.
time pressure on it too,
It
because you're
does.
not
It
going to keep
does.
so you like have to kind of focus and get it
You-
done because like you don't get to keep them indefinitely, and you definitely don't want it to get rained on. So
No.
like, you got to kind of stay focused, and I don't know. I feel like it's galvanizing.
Hmm.
There's like a yeah, I don't it's galvanizing. It gets everybody on the same page, except for your teenage daughters who will just do it when it's just their time.
And that's okay. Everyone needs to. Just like my mom wasn't ready to get rid of her 500 magazines, whatever, 25 years ago, right? Now she is. It just takes people some longer than others. And yeah, we all have our own journey with that, just like with money.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it doesn't take you or your partner 30 years to get on board with something, but there are definitely ways and different techniques you can do to help move the process along faster, I think.
Yes, the dumpster is fine. And it really, like, the Rocco cracks me up because he loses his stuff, and then he's like, "Did you throw it away?" And I'm like,
That
"No,
was one time, and you
no."
picked out what you wanted to throw away.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Sometimes things do get purged.
You know
Like, I
what's a
threw that
really
away.
you know what's a really great technique for spouses or anyone, like teenagers, this works really well. Where traditionally, let's just use a teenager example. So your daughter, it's like, okay, I want you to take this trash bag into your bedroom, fill it up with anything you don't want. That can feel so overwhelming to kids or anyone really, but let's use your daughter. And so, what I tell my people to do, that my students to do, is instead pull everything out of their closet, pull everything out of their dresser, and say, by the end of today, 5 p.m. today or tomorrow, whatever day you want to choose, the same day is ideal. Put anything back that you wear, love, want to keep. Anything you leave out on the floor, I will be taking to Goodwill, because
Mm.
then they're forced to, oh, I love this shirt. I'm going to dig for that purple shirt. I wear it all the time. They're forced to go through and take 5-10 minutes and they will get rid of so much more. And it works like a charm. And it's just basically the opposite approach of what so many people do.
Yes. All right. I'm kind of into it. I think that is also effective where it's like,
Hmm.
yes. Oh, it's like the opposite way of the same.
And then,
Yes, yes,
of
yes.
course, if your kiddo does still, if that does feel overwhelming, or they start, typically they will dig to find their favorite things because they're like, oh, mom means business, right? Or the Goodwill truck is coming at 5, right? There's a time frame on it. That's really helpful. But then sitting and obviously doing it with your child or partner, whomever it is, can be helpful too, because it can feel intimidating, right? Kids, especially if you've not modeled decluttering much for kids. So that's another avenue you can take, is just declutter a super, like I call it, a neutral space. So instead of working in their bedroom first or their toys first, say, hey, will you please come help me work in the kitchen for 10 minutes? We're going to go through this cabinet. And then you walk them through the process of what
Yes.
conversations we have in our head, but that our kids need to hear. Oh, you know what? We had this ice cream maker for 3 years. We never use it because we always buy ice cream at the store. So I'm going to let go of this. Right. And they're like, oh, right. So then they pick up these different conversations and go, oh, well, no, I can apply that toward the stuff in my room, the stuff I don't wear, don't love, don't use.
Yeah, I actually just had I had a mini purge in my kitchen this week.
Kitchen purges are the best.
Yeah. You know what I did is I made enough space in my cabinets to put my stand mixer off the counter,
Ah,
I've kind of, so listen, I do a fair amount of baking, and stand mixers are like surprisingly heavy and they're kind
oh
of
yeah,
bulky.
they are.
And I was like, for a long time I left it out because I was just like, I do use it. Um, But I think that I may think that I use it more than I actually do. So
It's true.
I put it under there. And also, I mean, like, for goodness sakes, like, I could use a little arm workout from time to time, like mixing my muffins,
It
like,
is
it's just not that big of a deal. Like, I could,
right.
so,
Or
and
just
I'm like,
getting the stand mixer out and putting it on the counter is an arm workout as well when
yeah,
you put it back on
and
the
you got to
counter.
lift with your back, not with, or
It's
lift
so
with your legs.
true.
You do not lift with your
Do
back.
not lift
Listen,
with your back.
I'm only good at money advice,
That's right.
ladies. I do love to give other kinds of advice, and you should probably take none of it, including decluttering advice. You should take Katy Wells' advice on the decluttering. Beautiful. All right. Well, we've been on for a good minute. If anybody's
Yeah.
got any questions, we'll hang out for just another minute. If you have any questions or you've had any ahas, feel free to share. And then, yeah, we'll just start to wrap up. So, anyways, I really, listen, as a wealth building activity, decluttering is a great start. You'll find decluttering and like making space is in basically all of the wealth building work. Like, it's not specific to my work, and I really find it to be, because it liberates that time energy, it liberates that mental energy, it changes your desires. Um, and it makes space to make other things of your life easier. And the more you can liberate your time and the more you can liberate your energy, that is very easily converted into financial gain in
Yes.
time. Like, where I was just talking about like the shaving cream, but that's the sort of thing where it's like, now I have a system, and it's not just a system of shaving cream, it's a system of like, that little cabinet has like all of the toiletries,
Yeah.
and toiletries have just really stopped being a mental drain. Like, I think about that sort of stuff, we're talking like literally like a minute a month, maybe. Like, I can go in, I can see what we have, see what we need, because it's clean and it's easy and it's decluttered. And so there's the financial benefit of buying in bulk and not having to run, and I mean, like, not having to go into Target, because I don't, let me know if this has ever happened to you, that you've gone to Target for one can of shaving cream and then you spent $264 on God knows what.
Yeah, I think Target is happy about that.
Yes. Yeah. And listen, I do this work, and that's why I stay the hell out of Target. I am not better than anybody. When I go there, I'm like, they have Cadbury eggs.
We
I
need
need
those.
I need Cadbury eggs. They have DVDs. I'm like, I'm not even sure if I have a DVD player anymore. But
We donated ours.
I look at those DVDs and I'm like, there's books and there's snacks and everything a person could possibly desire. Do I need a coffee grinder? And I'm like, I came here for shaving cream. What am I even doing in the coffee grinder aisle? But this happens to me.
It happens to
So
everybody. Yeah.
yeah, has this ever happened? All right. So anyways, learning to declutter is massive in your wealth building journey and in your happiness and all of the things. So
Amen. Beautifully
take
said, Brie. I love
take
it.
Katie's 14-day challenge. Clean up your house, get rid of some stuff, clean up your mind, let go
Yep.
of some of the things. You're gonna feel better.
You will.
All right. Well, anything else? You want to wrap up? All right. Well, we love you. I love you. I
I
just
love
totally
you.
put words in Katie's mouth. Yeah, I'm happy that you're here. Thank you for watching. And I will see you around, and hopefully Katie will see you in her challenge.
Sounds good, friends. Nice
Bye,
hanging out.
everybody.